If you've been wanting to invest in high quality sweaters and you don't know where to start, this is the video for you to watch. Hi guys, my name is Sarah. Welcome to my ultimate sweater guide. I have a background in fashion design and in pattern making, so I know quite a lot about fabric. And on top of that, I love sweaters. I've been buying them my whole life. I'm pretty sure you as well. So today I'm going to answer all of the questions that you might have about this topic so you can make the most informed purchases for yourself. By the way, I'm going to put timestamps in the video, so if you have any specific question that you want answered, you can just go check and jump there. Just skip some parts of the video if you like. Obviously, I would prefer if you watch the whole thing because it will be quite informative, but you do you. I'm not gonna get mad. Let's get into the video. All right, let's start this video by telling you about three most popular fibers for sweaters. And those are very common. You'll find them in any store. I'm talking about cotton, acrylic, and wool. And when I say wool, I mean animal fibers like cashmere, angora, mohair, merino wool, all of that kind of stuff, even though they're all from different animals. So I'm going to put them all in one category. Okay, let's start with 100% cotton sweaters. So those are actually quite popular. You can see them in stores like Gap, Aerie, J. Crew, all the popular stores that are in mall. And I would say cotton sweaters are more popular in warmer climates because cotton doesn't really keep you warm. It will have more of a cooling effect. So it makes sense to sell a lot of them in climates that are a little bit warmer. And cotton sweaters will look a little bit different aesthetically. Cotton is pretty heavy, so those sweaters will be way heavier than the ones that I'm going to talk about in a second. And also cotton sweaters will be very drapey, so they will more like drape around your body. Very similar to bias cut dresses, the sweater will have just a different look. And because of the heaviness of the fibers, those sweaters will stretch lengthwise over time. So bear it in mind if you are planning to buy a sweater that's 100% cotton. I personally own two cotton sweaters and I don't really wear them a lot. I bought them honestly almost a decade ago. They hold up really well because I knew how to take care of them, but I just haven't worn them in years because they are very heavy and it just bothers me. But if you are somebody who live in a warmer climate, potentially by the beach, and you want a sweater for like a cooler summer morning or a cooler summer evening, then cotton might be really good option. Sometimes you can find cotton mixed with linen. Also, fun fact about cotton, unlike other fibers that I'll talk about in a second, cotton gets really heavy when wet. So if you wear it in the rain, the sweater will get extremely heavy. So that's one thing that you gotta remember. It's not going to happen with wool and it's going to semi happen with acrylic. That is something I'm going to mention later. One advantage that cotton sweaters have is the price. You can find them under $100 or actually under $50 very often. So they are way cheaper than other natural alternative. If you are somebody who loves natural fibers, then cotton will be way cheaper, more affordable than wool. So that could be a good option for you. Now I'm going to talk about the most popular synthetic fiber, that is acrylic. So acrylic is a synthetic alternative to wool. It doesn't necessarily behave like wool, but it looks very similar to wool. It imitates it incredibly. Acrylic is very attractive to a lot of consumers because it has a very soft feel. If any of you have ever gotten a cashmere sweater, acrylic can nowadays imitate cashmere very well. Some people find acrylic more superior to wool because of its non-allergenic properties. Also, acrylic retains shape really well, so it doesn't really change shape over time, and it is pretty low maintenance because in a second I'm going to talk more about wool, and if you buy wool sweaters you have to follow a certain way of washing them, certain regiment. But with acrylic it's just easy. It's good for lazy people. And on top of that, acrylic will not be harmed by moths because moths don't eat synthetic fibers. I feel like everything that I just said makes acrylic sounds incredible, sounds like a dream, but in my opinion, acrylic is the worst choice. I'm going to try to give you some cons and convince you that acrylic is not the best fiber for sweaters. Obviously, you make your own decision, but I gotta say that acrylic is not as good as cotton in warm weather and is not as good as wool. So you're getting kind of this fabric, this fiber that's just meh. Over time, acrylic sweaters just look really bad. even though you can throw them in the washing machine and also in a dryer and they look okay. Unlike wool, because with wool you cannot do that. Wool will felt and it will also shrink if you throw it in the dryer. I actually owned, I think, one acrylic sweater in my life. It looked terrible after few washes. Acrylic sweaters will also peel over time. They will peel actually quite easily. So I wouldn't be surprised that a sweater made out of synthetic would last you not even one season, maybe a month or two. Unlike wool, I know I keep using unlike wool all the time, but wool sweaters can really last you for your whole life if you take care of them well, and even for generations. That is a fun fact, but again, you have to know how to take care of them. And obviously, a big argument against those sweaters is that they are made out of fossil fuels like petroleum. So essentially, it's plastic. If you burn acrylic sweater, it will turn into plastic and stay on this planet forever. So obviously, there's a big sustainability and environmental concern with acrylic sweaters. So like I said, I'm not a big fan of acrylic sweaters. And now let's go to my favorite fiber for sweater, which is wool. Fun fact about wool, it can absorb about 30% of its bulk and moisture, and it won't feel wet and heavy. So when you go outside, wool fibers will take the sweat from your skin and turn it into a vapor and release it to the air. And because of that, you don't overheat and you also don't get cold, which is incredible. I cannot say the same about synthetic fibers like polyester or acrylic because those fibers are not breathable. So what they do, they hold moisture and they make you sweat even more. So if you're a sweaty person, I mean, we're all sweat, then definitely don't choose synthetics. Just choose breathable fibers like wool. And if you live in warmer, like very hot climate, you can choose cotton. Another fun fact about wool is that it neutralizes unpleasant smells because wool fibers have a protective layer that's antibacterial. And because of that, wool sweaters clean themselves. And I'm going to dive deeper into wool care in the next video. So definitely subscribe and ring the notification bell so you can be notified when this video appears on this channel. I think it's going to be a next one or the one after. I'm still debating, but because of those antibacterial properties, wool sweaters, they don't have to be washed very often. I would say only once a season. And if you want to refresh them, you can just take them outside and let the air flow through them. That will essentially get rid of any smell and will refresh and almost like wash your sweater. But again, I will dive deeper into this topic in the next video. Earlier, I mentioned that when I say wool, I mean all of the animal fibers. So now I'm going to go through some labels so it will help you decide which sweater is the best for you from that wool category. All right, so if you see that the tag on your sweater says 100% wool, it means that it is most likely 100% wool. It can be recycled wool, it can be reprocessed wool, but it should be wool. And on top of that, if you see a Woolmark logo next to it, then it means that this product has been quality tested and it is 100% pure new wool, which is great because it tells you that there are no synthetics added. The only thing about 100% wool is that you don't know what kind of wool it is. When you look for those very warm, bulky sweaters, they will be made from 100% wool. So you will not really see merino wool or cashmere or whatever else. You will just see 100% wool. Those sweaters sometimes might be itchy. It just depends. So if you're somebody who is afraid that the sweater will be itchy, then definitely go to the store and check. When you buy them online and it says 100% wool, you cannot really tell if it's going to be itchy or not. Here's a fun fact. When your tag on your sweater says wool, not 100% wool, but just wool, then you have to know that it is most likely blend with different fibers, most likely some synthetic fibers, so it is not going to be 100% wool. I am personally not really opposed to blends, but I like to know exactly what the blend is. All right, now let's go to my favorite wool, which is 100% merino wool. If you see this on the tag of the sweater, then you know that this sweater was made from 100% merino wool sheep. Sweaters made from this breed of sheep are light, soft, durable, breathable, obviously, and they are also non-itchy. And if this is very important to you, I can guarantee that merino sheep wool will not be itchy. Okay, the next one that you can see on your tag is 100% lambswool. Lambswool is very soft because it's taken from first shearing of a sheep, and the sheep is about 6-7 months. So it's going to be very fine and soft, and usually you'll see it in extra fine sweaters, so they're not going to be too bulky. If you see sweater that's made out of lambswool that it's 100% lambswool or whatever, and it's more bulky, I just would not really trust it personally if you see it online and if it's cheap, because those sweaters are usually not that cheap. All right, now let's go to my actual favorite, 100% cashmere. So cashmere, it's not a sheep, it's actually a goat, so it's a little different. But again, like I said, I put it in the wool category because it's animal fiber. Fun fact, some brands like to mention on their websites that their cashmere is Mongolian cashmere, because this kind of cashmere is the best quality. You guys probably know some of those websites that sell cashmere sweaters for $50, but also you can see cashmere sweaters for $500. And why is there such a huge price discrepancy if it's just cashmere? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Hi guys, it's Sarah from the future. So I realized that I didn't really explain this topic well. So I thought I'm going to try again because I was just going in circles and it didn't make any sense. So $50 versus $500 sweater. Obviously, we all know that branding and marketing, the brand name also plays a huge role in this. And if it's a heritage brand, it's going to be more expensive. But the main difference is how the fibers are sourced. Ethical and sustainable sourcing practices often produce higher quality cashmere, because higher quality cashmere requires patience and proper harvesting. So the way cashmere fibers are harvested, goats are gently brushed or combed by hand, and that produces the longest and the finest fibers. In lower grade cashmere, this procedure is often rushed and leads to mass shearing of the goats, and that produces shorter and weaker fibers. And also the fibers are mixed, because if you do it this way, you're not only harvesting the softest and the longest fibers, but you're mixing different fibers from different parts of the goats. Some are coarser, some are finer, so that whole blend gets put into a pile and that gets transformed into the cashmere that we know nowadays, if it makes sense. Because when you think about fast fashion brands, they have to manufacture a crazy amount of sweaters because they need to supply the whole world with them. So obviously the cashmere will be a little bit lower grade. If you compare the fast fashion brands that manufacture everything to those small brands that, for instance, specialize in cashmere, those brands without a doubt will make high quality sweaters. So yeah, that is essentially why the price is so different. I am not saying you cannot buy cheaper cashmere sweaters, it's fine. Just buy them if you like. I definitely have a lot of them. So that's not a statement that you're not allowed to buy a cheaper cashmere, just FYI. And one more fun fact that I want to tell you guys is that cashmere sweaters are warmer than wool sweaters. When you compare weight to weight, for instance, cashmere to merino wool, cashmere ends up being a little bit more warm. So cashmere is amazing for winter. All right, what about blends? Are fabric blends okay? Short answer, yes, they are okay. Some people don't like them because they want a sweater that is 100% biodegradable, which means you should get a sweater that is made 100% from animal fiber. If it has some synthetics, it will not be biodegradable, or some of it might be, some of it will not. So when you add and mix different fibers, you change the way this sweater will behave, you change the way this sweater will look. For instance, if you like a festive sweater that has some sparkly yarn, then you will see a little bit of nylon, and that is okay. Sometimes you'll see 50-50 blends, so 50 polyester and 50 wool. Not a big fan, but it is not terrible. It's better than 100% polyester. Sometimes you will see merino wool mixed with silk, and those sweaters will be very thin. They might be a little bit more shiny. They will be non-itchy, and they will be more cooling, so they will not be as warm as 100% merino wool sweaters, if it makes sense. So they will just behave a little bit differently. All right, now I'm going to answer a few questions that some of you might have. First one is why some wool is itchy and what to try instead. Okay, so wool is graded by fiber diameter measured in microns. So the smaller the micron number, the softer and finer the fiber, which essentially makes the fiber, the sweater, less itchy against the skin. So if you want to rank the fibers from non-itchy to itchy, that's how I'm going to rank it. Non-itchy: cashmere, super fine merino wool, lamb's wool, and then I will put all of the wool. And that's where the itchiness can start. That's why you have to go to the store and check them in the store, because when you have wool or 100% wool, you don't really know what kind of wool it is. So those fibers might have more microns, which means that the fiber doesn't bend that easily against the skin, and that creates the itchiness. So only sweaters that are made from 100% wool, and if it's coarser wool that has more microns, those sweaters will be itchy, but everything else will not. So don't be afraid of that. Just trust me, try wool sweaters, they will change your life. Okay, let's go to the second question. What makes a sweater more likely to pill? Okay, I love this question because there's a big misconception that if you buy a poor quality cheap sweater, it will pill like crazy. That is not really true. That is, I would say, partially true. In general, pilling is caused by friction. So when you buy sweaters made out of wool or even synthetic sweaters, you will see pilling first on your sides, on your sleeves. Pilling is normal and it will happen anyways. And pilling has a lot to do with the length of the wool fiber, which is called a staple. So shorter staples will make the sweater feel and look more fluffy, but it will also make the sweater more likely to pill quicker. Longer staples create very smooth surface and it will make the sweater less likely to pill, sometimes not pill at all. I have some of those sweaters, especially the ones that are mixed with silk, and they just don't pill at all. So in my opinion, the price of the sweater doesn't really affect the pilling, but what affects the pilling is the length of the fiber, like I said. And if you like a very fluffy sweater, I mean, this one is a little bit more fluffy, it will pill more likely, but it's really easy to take care of. You just buy a shaver and just shave it, and that's it. I hope I answered the question clearly, and I hope it helps. I have one more question. What is the best type of sweater for each season? Okay, I kind of answered it a little bit earlier. So in general, if you live in a hot, humid climate, I would go for cotton sweaters. That's why in those countries, those states, you will see a lot of cotton sweaters on the market. Those sweaters are perfect for summer morning or summer evenings. I would also consider sweater that is made out of silk or maybe silk and merino wool blend, fine merino wool. Those sweaters will be a little bit cooler as well because of that silk added. But if you're looking for a sweater for winter, like a cold winter and you live in a colder climate, obviously I would go for cashmere or 100% wool. And if you were looking for a sweater for fall season, then I would go with merino wool, because merino wool is just a touch less warm than cashmere, and merino wool varies. So you can buy ultra fine merino wool, fine merino wool, medium weight merino wool. So it just depends what kind of wool you get. And those type of sweaters will not make you feel sweaty. So I would go for merino wool. And when it comes to acrylic sweaters, I don't like them. I think they're terrible for any season and they're terrible for your wallet because they don't last. So I would 100% discourage you from getting them. All right, so we're almost at the end of the video. I thought I will mention one more thing. Some of you might own only synthetic sweaters, like acrylic sweaters, polyester, maybe polyester mixed with some wool, and you might want to start investing in better quality wool, cashmere sweaters, silk, etc. I would say a good place to start is actually a thrift store. Thrift store has a lot of wool and cashmere sweaters because people sometimes don't know how to take care of them. I'm not even kidding. Instead of washing them, people just donate them. So that would be one place where you can find very nice quality sweaters for a cheap price. So if you're somebody who wants to start building more sustainable wardrobe, I would actually recommend that you check thrift store first, and don't be afraid if the sweater has a lot of pilling, you can easily remove it. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite fibers for sweaters, because some of you might be like, actually I like blends, and I disagree. If that's the case, then please let me know why. You can follow me on all of the socials, everything will be linked down below. And I also have a pattern making store, so I make sewing patterns. If you're into sewing, also everything will be linked down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.